guys! Alright, here's the story. I've been getting more requests than ever lately to feature more luxury brand makeup on my channel. I'm talking brands that are maybe not so much Smashbox and Too Faced, but maybe some Giorgio Armani, YSL, Tom Ford, and that's exactly what I'm bringing you in this video. I do understand the desire to know whether or not products like this are really that much better than the products you buy at the drugstore. I am extremely familiar with what's happening in the drugstore and really a lot of other brands too. But then this upper echelon, price range of makeup is just something I have not dabbled in quite enough. And I do think there's value in that because you understand like how things compare, how similar or how different price ranges can be. And I will definitely tell you honestly if I think they're good or if I think we're just paying for a name here or some really fancy packaging, because there is some fabulous packaging happening in front of me right now. But yeah, I just thought I'd do a full face with all this stuff. This is not my first time using these products. I have been experimenting with them on and off for about the past week and a half, 2 weeks. And by all means, if there are things that you would like me to use beyond what you see me using in this video, if you want to make some requests or recommendations to me in the comments section, I am all ears. I would be happy to do this kind of video again, or just sprinkle in more luxury product reviews on my channel. And I am by no means abandoning the drugstore, like that is my home. I just really do want to be offering you guys more information and just maybe be able to draw some better comparisons on my channel. So let's jump in. First thing that I've got here is the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric Foundation. I've heard some great things about this in terms of coverage and staying power. I have it in the shade 5 and it says broad spectrum SPF 25. Claims on this, just kind of looking back at what I had read originally on Sephora's website, full coverage liquid foundation that perfects with a velvet matte lightweight second skin finish. And it says through Armani Beauty's own microfill technology, powerful ultrafine pigments are shaped to provide the highest coverage foundation with the thinnest and lightest texture. And it claims 16-hour wear. I don't think I've experienced mind-blowing staying power with this foundation. I mean, it's been present on my skin, I think, but I feel like a very minor amount of oil like that I will have sometimes around my nose broke it down fairly easily. Then again, I didn't set it super heavily anytime that I've used it, but they don't claim that you need to anyway. So we've got the pump here, beautiful looking foundation, just to look at it in the bottle. I'm gonna do about a pump and a half of this. Again, I'm in shade 5, and I'm just going to start by dabbing this around my skin how I normally do. I will say, like, I like this foundation better than the Luminous Silk. That was one that like looked pretty on the skin, but I don't know, I couldn't constitute the price tag being so high. But with this, the coverage really is there. I mean, you can see that just really doing good things for any little spots, even around circles. It blends out super easily. It does not feel sticky on the skin, although there is, I don't know, a real feeling of moisture there. It doesn't feel dry at all. My nose area is kind of dry earlier, but it doesn't look to be clinging too much, maybe a little bit around the outsides of the nose. I would say the coverage is really quite beautiful. I'm thinking to drugstore brands that could achieve this coverage, like the L'Oreal, that really total cover infallible version of L'Oreal's foundation. That one most definitely can achieve the full coverage place, but I feel like you have to be a lot more careful with the application. It's not just this silky smooth, super easy, kind of foolproof application. For concealer, I got this YSL All Hours Concealer, and I have it in the shade 2 Ivory. This could not look more like just a really standard run-of-the-mill concealer here with the very classic doe foot applicator, just a twist-off cap. Nothing insanely fancy happening here. It's a very thin concealer. We're talking thinner than a Tarte Shape Tape. I like using this shade really kind of down the center of the face, on any areas that I want to kind of pull out and brighten. I'm using my Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush here, and I just kind of like the way this spreads it across the skin. But this, for being as thin as it is, I think it has really impressive coverage. My one gripe with this concealer is that I find it to be kind of drying. I don't set it like overly much with anything. I feel like I look at that area later in the day and the concealer, yes, it's totally still there, it's perfectly in place, but it looks kind of dry. but it doesn't set too quick. It's not like hard for me to blend out at all. I'm not struggling whatsoever. And look at the coverage that had without really using any sort of peachy tone corrector. You know, granted, I did have some good coverage delivered by the foundation. So it's not really a coverage complaint here. It's not a texture complaint. Like right at the onset, it seems so lightweight, but I think there is just some dry down with this concealer, quite a bit of it. And you're gonna notice if you have like any little fine lines or any kind of crepey areas there. Like I have definitely noticed every time I've worn this, and I've worn it probably 5 times so far. Every time I've had that look at myself a little bit later in the day thinking, Examples of concealers that don't give me that look would be like the Benefit Erase Paste or the Anastasia concealer, you know, a creamy concealer that offers a little moisture back to the skin as well as coverage. I think that's a really good thing to be able to lay your hands on. Now, something I forgot in this haul, I forgot to get like a powder, just a standard powder, and I could definitely do this look without adding any powder really. Like I've got this overall matte look, but I am gonna add a little powder from a very high-end brand that I already had, and it's the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. Gonna revisit this thing again. This is one of the ultimate, like, finest powders in my collection by far. One of the finest that I've ever used. It really goes airborne. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's just like, just a super fine powder. And I find I really have to make a point of getting it on the brush and then really pressing it onto the skin as opposed to really dusting back and forth, or else I do feel like I lose some of the powder to the air. It's crazy. But this really does blur a lot in terms of pores, just imperfection on the under eye area. But even wearing this on top of that YSL concealer, this generally speaking is not a drying looking powder. Like its whole basis is to kind of rehydrate the skin through the powder. But even when I just put a light amount on top of that concealer, like I said, late in the day, afternoon hours, I'm still seeing that concealer quite a bit. The next thing that I got here is the Guerlain Terracotta Sun Trio palette in Natural. I have tried a bronzer from this line before. It was a very like orangey bronzer on me, but I saw this and I thought this might be really workable. See how it's got just this lighter kind of, I think you might call it a highlight shade, but it is matte. And then these other 2 matte colors here as well. So I'm going to apply a little bit of just this main shade that's happening here on the bottom and just get that going here on my skin. It's a pretty bronzer. I mean, I've used this. I'm now dabbing into just a little bit of the deep shade too. I've been wearing this a little bit and I don't really have any complaints about it. Honestly, it's just a pretty bronzer. This is the kind of product where if I did, you know, one of those half high-end, half drugstore face videos, I think I could totally duplicate what this is doing on my skin with a lower cost bronzer. It's pretty and it's pigmented and it's smooth and it's matte. You know, it's really got a lot of qualities that I like, but there are some really low-cost bronzers that can achieve it too. For example, I would say I'm no happier with my finished look that I'm getting from this than I am with my Lorac contouring palette. Plus, it has more shades, and the lighter shades have more, like, I don't know, they pick up more color. This light shade here is kind of hard to, I don't know, I'm just dabbing a little bit on here, just to show, like, it doesn't really do a whole lot. I think, to me, it seems almost like more of a mixer shade. Like, if you want to lighten up any part of this bronzer, you can just kind of swirl your brush in it. Okay, now, what I got as a blush, or what I intended to be a blush, came from this Burberry beauty box. So it had something in here, and it's called Dark Earthy Blush. Well, getting it home, I think this might be a fine contour shade, but this is just not blush on me at all. So I'm just gonna go to an expensive blush that I already have. This is from Marc Jacobs, and it's the one called Night Fever and Hot Stuff. And this blush I do think is gorgeous. I love this combo of shades. It's looking like kind of a burgundy, kind of brick red paired with a really hot pink, and you can use varying amounts of either side depending on if you go more toward this end or this end. So I'm going to just sort of tap my brush right here in the middle, tap off the excess, and swirl this a bit here on the outer part of the apple of my cheek. It's a really pretty blush with kind of a satin finish on the skin. I feel like I've been using a lot of more neutral blushes lately, so it's kind of fun to have that pop right now. I'm liking that. Really gorgeous shade. Love that. And then something I will be using from that little Burberry set is this Fresh Glow Luminous Fluid Base. I don't know if they mean by that this could be like a primer, but as I was swatching this out on my hand, I thought it was gorgeous, and I thought it might make a really pretty just highlight on top of this look. So this is a mini size, and I'm just gonna sort of sheer it out a bit on my hand here. So we're dealing with a very, very soft pearl effect. This is not going to be anything drastic highlighter wise. And then I'm just going to use this high cheekbone highlighter from Sigma and dab this a little bit right in this zone. It's just adding the lightest bit of luminosity there, nothing too heavy. And like I said, this may not even be the intended function of the product, but it certainly does help all this matteness that we've got going on the skin right now. It kind of, I don't know, gives a little more life to the face. So I just snuck in a little e.l.f. brow pencil there. I totally bypassed brows when I was doing my little haul from Sephora on all this stuff. Just didn't even think about brows. So yeah, sorry about that. You guys are thinking, yeah, there had to be some e.l.f. on your face today. Okay, eyes. I got a Tom Ford quad. This is in Cocoa Mirage, and I will say it looked a bit more compelling to me on the website than it does in person. I'm not saying this is not a pretty palette in person. Please ignore my chip nail. I haven't had the chance to deal with it yet. You know, I've got matte neutrals here, matte cream, this brown that seems to be maybe mixed with a hint of burgundy and a little bit of shimmer there as well. It's a pretty palette, like just... It's got a magnetic closure on it. It's got a great big mirror. The size of these shadows I think is generous. But I don't know, when I was shopping for this, I mean, these are a pretty penny. And I was thinking, like, I want to get one that has shades that I will likely wear quite a bit, so I didn't want to go too out there. And not that many of the options were even out there at all, but I just wanted to use something that I thought would give me my best shot of doing a full eye look, something I'd like, something I'd get use out of. And then I got this and I thought, oh man, it's ultra tame. That's okay, we're gonna go ahead and use it. I'm gonna use this shade first in my crease, and I have some Milani eyeshadow primer on already. And these shadows, like I said, I've been playing with them a little bit, and they're nice, you know, they work fine. They blend nicely. I mean, I've got to get past the fact that these colors are so common in my collection. I glance at this and I instantly think of that Maybelline quad called Designer Chocolates, I think it was. I don't know if they even make that one still, but that was exactly this color scheme to a T. Like, I think about my new Too Faced palette that has, like, you know, these colors and then a bunch more. Just having trouble seeing the total worth in this, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna blend over this shade a little bit. These do go on very easily. They're nice textures to work with. They don't seem to generate a lot of fallout as I tap in, but they are plenty pigmented enough. I think I'll do a little bit of that cream shade as well, just right here on the inner part of the lid. And then I want to take a little bit of this shade right down here, this kind of burgundy-ish brown, and pat that on my lid as well. Thank goodness for this color in this palette, because it does kind of do some interesting things. I like seeing it lighten up over that lighter shade. It actually starts to look a little bit like borderline mauve-ish, kind of pretty. This shade generates a little more fallout than the others though, and this is the non-matte. And then I'm just using my bare brush to blend over this a bit. I think I'll add a little bit of this darkest brown just right here in the outer corner. I don't know what to say. This look is classic textbook me as far as the pattern of eyeshadow application there, but I just want to show you, you know, how they go on. There's no problem with them. They're not bad. I don't really know that this particular quad of shades that I got feels worth the price tag to me. And I'm going into this color right here, and I'm just getting a little bit of that down on the lower lash line. And then I've got one of these Marc Jacobs highliners in Rococo here, and it's kind of like a taupe shimmer. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of that, like kind of a bronzy shimmer. I'm going to do some of this on my lower lash line. And also I'm going to get some of this in the lower inner rim. I really like these highliners from Marc Jacobs. I mean, I think they are so incredibly creamy. The shade called Blacker is awesome, and I think I'm going to use that on the upper lash line. Dabbing this down here on the lower lash line, and then we're going to smudge it out with my smudge brush. Getting this nice smokiness going there on the lower lash line. I'm liking that. I mean, I think you could find similar liners that would do that, but that's a pretty look. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Blacker, which is just the straight up black shade, across my upper lash line. I remember first trying this in a set of minis a couple holiday seasons ago. Absolutely fell in love. Just a really nice, soft, creamy gel eye pencil here. Next, I think just to kind of soften up a little bit, I'm going into that matte brown with an angled brush, and I'm just going to go over my upper liner a little bit. The thing about using pencil is, like, I never like to really make it look like I obviously just drew pencil on, you know? Sometimes it just, no matter what, it looks like pencil. But when you kind of top it off with some shadow, it just has that little bit of softness. Next up, I'm going to curl my lashes. This is my Tweezerman lash curler, by the way. This is the one I've been using for months now, and I think it is absolutely worth the, I don't know, 20, 25 bucks for it. So good. I've never found a lash curler that fits my eye shape so well, and I think it claims to fit round eyes a little bit better, but it just really gets in touch with the entire lash line so nicely. And then I have a lash primer. I could not resist this. This is by Givenchy, and it is the Base Mascara Perfecto. Look, it is a pink lash primer. The packaging could not be more gorgeous there, and yeah, the product itself is actually pink. I mean, the brush looks absolutely chunked with product there. If it's looking like there's a lot on there, there definitely is. And what I have found as I've put it on, it does look kind of chunky. It's like just a glance at what you've put on your lashes, you feel like, oh, that looks kind of clumpy, looks like a bit much. But whatever mascara I've put on top of it seems to kind of like smooth it out. I don't know what's happening there, because I definitely do wait until this has gotten dry, because I don't want, you know, this light shade to tint my mascara or lighten up my black mascaras. But there's that right there on the upper lashes. I really only care about having this on my upper lashes right now. I have just gotten so congested here the last couple days. And it's not coming on me like a cold does, you know, with the sore throat and all that stuff. I feel like it's maybe an allergy type deal. So can you tell that that's light pink? I think that's so funny. So I'm going to make sure that gets a chance to dry, and I'm going to do my lower lashes with something I can count on today. I'm using my CoverGirl Clump Crusher Water Resistant. Sorry. Need to do something I can trust down here. I just really like the way this mascara, you know, defines the lower lashes. It lengthens them out, darkens them up, but it never gets too thick on there. The brush is easy to control. Now the mascara that I'm going to use is this Burberry Cat Lashes Jet Black. This was from that little set that I was describing here. So it came with that glowy stuff, the mascara, the dark earthy blush that I did not end up using in this video, and then there's a lipstick in the shade Russet, which is probably pretty similar to the lipstick that I bought individually that I'm going to be using in this video, but we'll get to that in a second. For now, the cat lashes. It's like an hourglass shaped brush with rubber bristles. I've only used this one on top of this particular primer, so sadly I cannot tell you how this works on its own. But on top of the primer, do you see what I mean? Like the primer seemed chunkier, and then I put this mascara on and it kind of smooths it out. The hourglass shaped brushes, like I can deal with it with, you know, Too Faced and the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise, because they're a very shallow like hourglass there, so you still feel like you're really reaching all your lashes with the entire brush. This one dips in the center just a little too deep, you know, and I don't feel like I'm making good use of the center of the brush. Like I feel like there are only two spots where the brush is hitting my eye, and it's where it's more, you know, bulbous. It is nice and black, but I'm getting a ton of length, I feel like, out of that primer, and I'm just gonna need to work with that primer some more, try it with some different mascaras and see exactly, you know, how worthwhile it is. My favorite lash primer, by the way, has always been the Estee Lauder Little Black Primer. because I love first off that it's so dang black and you don't have to be as careful with like making sure you top off each and every little spot. It's very easy to reach all your lashes with the tiny brush that it has, but also it holds the curl so well. And this one, you know, I'm already seeing some sinkage here, and I'm not quite sure right now if that's the fault of the primer or the mascara. I feel like it's maybe the mascara. The formula seems just a little heavy. I can honestly tell you guys I am not as impressed with the combination of these two products as I am with just one coat of L'Oreal Lash Paradise. It's the truth. I do want to pop a lash on with this look. I'm going to be using my Cocoa lashes in the style called Misha. They're really just fluttery and full, as you can see, so I'm going to pop those on and I'll join you for the lip. Okay, I got some lashes on there. I don't know. This look is very classic. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, would this not be a nice, like, special occasion, super formal wedding look or something? I'm just kind of reinforcing some of this bright shade, or this light shade, light beige right here. There are some decent applicators in this little palette, by the way. And then I'll just dust a little bit more of this lightest shade. I just want to see a little bit more of that kind of on the edge up here. Pretty colors, very workable. I just feel like I could find them and honestly find comparable quality in about 3 dozen other places in my collection. Now, the lipstick that I have, first off, I'll show you this Burberry one. This one is in the shade Russet, just in case you were curious about what comes in that set. It's a creamy formula lipstick, looks like that. It's like kind of a, I don't know, a red with a little rust in it. Now the lipstick that I got specifically to use with this look, after looking at the whole selection of the Tom Ford lipsticks, I got one of these. I think the packaging is phenomenal. It looks great in this room, this dark and gold. It's so lovely. I chose the shade called Casablanca. This is not one of the mattes. It's just the straight up cream formula, I believe. And I was expecting it to be just a little bit darker and more reddish. It's this shade right here, kind of just this rosy sort of, I don't know, very all-purpose, like works for anything type color. So I am kind of pleased with that. But I was just expecting a little bit more red in this color just from what I saw online. But I'm gonna put this on. My lips are so dry right now, but this feels, I gotta say, this feeling on my lips, this is what I would expect a really expensive lipstick to feel like. Like, it is just so rich. It's not too thick. As I wear this throughout the day, like, it has a nice cling to my lips. I mean, it's absolutely luxurious feeling. It's not far from feeling like a Bite Amuse-Bouche lipstick, but this is truly like the ultimate in creaminess, I gotta say. And I'm very picky about formulas on lip products. I don't want it sticky. I want it to be full color. It's absolutely like full color with one swipe, no doubt about it. It smells amazing. Smells kind of vanilla-ish. The one disappointment here, why is this not a magnetic closure? I mean, it is a satisfying snap, but why not the magnetic closure there? That would have like totally 100% made this product for me. But the color, see what I mean? It's just kind of a rich rosy shade. It's not super reddish. I think it could work on darn near anybody for about any reason, like everyday wear totally works. I'm really glad I ended up with a shade like that, honestly. My hair is still like kind of drying from my shower last night, but finished look, how do we feel about this, guys? I mean, I am not unhappy at all with the way my skin looks right now. I think the coverage level is good. The eye look is fine. It's just a matter of knowing how many other things I have that could have executed that very same look. What do we think is really worth it? I mean, this Power Fabric foundation, I see the hype behind this. I see why this is a really popular item. I mean, it totally did the job on my skin, and I do really like that, and I'll continue using that. The All Hours Concealer, like I said, impressive to have that amount of coverage and that thin of a formula, but Tarte Shape Tape looks fresher on my skin like as I go throughout the day, and it's still got great coverage too. Not really sold on the bronzer. I just have a lot of other things that could do what that does. Not saying it wasn't nice, but you know, it's not that unusual. Nothing in this Burberry kit is really shouting from the rooftops like, this is an awesome product. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a pretty lipstick or that glow thing wasn't kind of cool, but nothing was really knocking my socks off. I am a fan of the Marc Jacobs eyeliners, these highliners, and there are matte liners as well. You know, these go on like a dream. That being said, there are probably some other things that I could dig up in my collection that have a very smooth application and great staying power. However, these do last really nicely on me in my lower inner rim, and that is kind of a special thing there. So I do really enjoy those. I also really like this Marc Jacobs blush. I think that's a stunning shade. Again, I can pull off this kind of cheek look though throughout my collection with a lot of other things. I do quite enjoy this lipstick formula though. It is every bit as luxurious as I hoped it would be. I'm not sure how many more of these I would repurchase. I think if you want something similar to this, I would look to Bites line, but I do really like the shade. I'm happy with the product, I am. So thank you guys so much for taking time to watch. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it just gave you a little different perspective from the girl who's always talking about drugstore stuff a lot of times. Let me know if you have any requests for other products you'd like to see featured in a video like this, and I will see you very soon. Bye.